This tutorial is about printing. It's a big part of the course. It is an expensive part of the course, but if it's done properly, you can save yourself a lot of money. So what we're going to go through is we're going to go through the different settings, talk about different paper types, and talk about the general errors that are made, the ones that are costing students a lot of money. In each of the rooms we've got professional standard printers. At the moment we've got Epson printers, and these are ones that are used in the industry for finished pieces that photographers will be selling on or exhibiting. Using them is not that difficult, but it is time consuming. So every time you're setting up a photo to print, it's important that you have followed the instructions and not printed till either you've had it checked or you've gone over the video to double check. The printers run on a basis of a printing stick. This is the printing stick. This one is for printer number 3 in B223 room, and it says the name of the printer. You do not print unless you've got one of these. Why we do that is that it saves somebody putting in their piece of paper into a printer, let's say A3 size, and get ready to print. But while they're getting ready to print, if somebody else has sent the job to their printer, so they printed an A4 image on an A3 piece of paper and wasted the print money as well as the paper. You don't keep the printing stick unless you're printing. So not getting ready to send something to print, it's only when you're printing. You return it to the printer when it's not in use, and that stops some of the issues. If there is no printing stick on a printer, check to see if the printer is in service or if it's waiting for some maintenance to be done. If it says ink is low, that's fine. These printers are set to keep going until the ink is gone. It'll pause the print, I'll replace the ink, and it'll continue on printing. So if it says low, it's perfectly fine to keep printing. On to Photoshop now. So we have an image here, which is just a couple of different sample ones from Pinhole Photography. We've got all of the layers still active. Right? What we want to do is send this to print. First we have to save this as an unflattened image, just in case we want to make any alterations. So it's File, Save As, and I've already pre-named it on the page, so we've saved that. Once it's saved, disk is full, that's helpful. Once it's actually saved, then what you need to do is you need to flatten your image before you print it. So Layer, Flatten Image, and now it's saved as a flattened object. You don't press Save because that'll override the Photoshop file that has got multiple layers, so you can change them. So you go Save As, and this time it's easier if you save it as a JPEG. So you just send it as JPEG, and that actually stands for Joint Photographic Expert Group, is where they came up with that file name. You save it as a JPEG. You don't need to change any of the settings on here. Alright, it's got to do with quality. We leave it as the standard set. That image now changes as a file extension to JPG, so we know it's a JPEG file. If you want to print to, let's say if you want to print this in Boots or Asda or any of those corporate machines where you go and you plug in your memory stick, save it as a JPEG and then you can. They can't open up Photoshop files. So we're going to print this. We have got printer number, printing stick number 5. I've saved this as a JPEG, so it's ready to go, and I'm going to print it on to the number 5 printer in B223, so that's the room we're in. You have to check the print settings. So if we go in here, there's a couple of things we have to always check. First one is that we have it on premium semi-gloss photo paper. So with the images, there's different types of paper that you can print onto. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Color, none of these need to be changed. Sheet source, because that's how it's going to be fed in, and you need to select that it is A3. So we have an A4 option, and we can also, even though it's not there, we can print up to, oh it is there, sorry, we can print up to A2. So that's double the size of A3. We click on borderless, and that means that it'll print all the ink right to the edge of that page. Okay, so it's really good to click on Borders and get in a habit. And make sure Print Preview is selected so you can see it before it goes. You're not finished yet. That's on the main page. Now you need page layout. And you always have to double check, because these change depending on what computer you're on, that the output size, the paper size first of all is A3, and that the output size is A3. Sometimes you'll find that that's actually A4 or vice versa. You don't need to, you can check if you want to reduce the size or enlarge it, but you should always be working from an A3, A4 or A2 page. So you shouldn't have to actually change that. That's okay to print. So we've got our print preview on, we've got our borderless on, we've checked the paper output size to print the paper size, and that's all in this setting. You might need to change this, because it might originally look like that. So it's a landscape page we have underneath, but we'll need to print it onto the landscape page. It does not mean that the paper goes in landscape wise. The paper never goes in landscape wise. It always goes into the printer standing up. And these are, again, some of the settings you've already checked. You don't need to scale to print media to 100% because it's A3, because that's what we set our page to. So remember, we always start off with a page that's going to be our output size and bring our images to it. We do that from browsing in Bridge. So we're ready to print. It will always say that, don't worry, because we're doing borderless. And now our print preview is going to come up. So this will show me the printing lines. Okay, and just anything that's visible image-wise there, that's what's going to be printed. You press print and then you select your print credit. So we'll go down to the printers now and have a look. So the printers are numbered on the side. So we've got printer number 5 is labelled here. The display, you'll always have to check that it's saying ready. Do not put your paper into a printer unless it says ready. Somebody else might have sent a job, somebody might have left a job in from the day before, so ready is really important up there. You have to put it into the right hand side, so it always goes into the right hand side, and you do that by sliding this, pinch the light grey to the dark grey and slide it across. Always goes in there, and as I said, it always stands up. The paper goes in shiny side, so the layer that is treated with all of the porous material. So with photo paper, it's got layers of different types of emulsion. Shiny side faces towards you. If you put it in the other way around, you'll waste your paper, and it will end up meaning that the maintenance cartridge needs to be cleaned. Right? So shiny sides, and again, always standing up. So once you have sent that to print, it'll be asking you for the paper. So make sure you've got the printing stick. Make sure that before you put the paper in and before your job is sent, it says ready. If it says ink is low, that's fine, and then it goes in. On this panel here, you don't press any of the buttons, because what we found over time is that if somebody thinks, oh, I'll just feed it in, or I'll just go to the menu, or I'll just try this, it ends up that the printer needs to be powered down, reset, and that can take up to 12 to 15 minutes, so it wastes the availability for that printer. If you're on a large piece of paper, gently pull the tray out. If it's an A2, you extend it the whole way. Otherwise, what happens is it falls onto the floor. Once this has gone through the printer, it is fine to touch afterwards. It's not wet ink, but don't put fingerprints on your paper beforehand or afterwards, especially not with black. If you put grease or something on there, the ink won't settle on the paper. The ink will basically be smudged. If you do it afterwards, you're going to smudge the ink as well. Alright, so try and hold paper just by the edge and your hand on the other side. So, with the different types of paper, you have got the semi-gloss, which is available in the shop. Do not bring in photo paper from home. Right? Photo paper from home isn't set to these printers, right? And it can end up wasting your print credit. It's £1 for A4, £2 for A3, £4 for A2. So print credit is expensive, and it's because we're on professional standards. So making sure we've got the right settings is important. The right type of paper, we have got some gloss paper in stock, and in the shop you've got the semi-gloss, which is, I think it's about 35 pence for A4, 70 pence for A2. So they need to be purchased before lessons. Try not to go down and say, can I buy some paper in the shop during your lesson, especially if you've got a 1 o'clock lesson, the shop is closed then. So we've gone over the different paper types, we've gone over the different settings about flattening it or saving it first under Save As, flattening, Save As again, change to JPEG, checking the printer sizes, the output, the paper size in the two different tabs, the utilities and the main, and then how to put it into the printer.